She asked me for a hall pass to sleep with her gym trainer, said it'd be good for her growth. I laughed and said, "Go ahead, shoot your shot." Then I booked a weekend getaway with the woman she was always insecure about. Suddenly, she wasn't laughing anymore, just begging. This happened about 2 years ago, but I'm finally ready to share the whole story. Buckle up because this is a wild ride from start to finish. I've never posted anything like this before, but after reading similar stories on this subreddit, I figured you all might appreciate the justice served at the end. I, 34 male, was married to Amanda, 29 female, for 5 years, together for 8 total. I work as a financial advisor pulling in about $180,000 annually. She worked in medical device sales making around $75,000. We lived in a nice suburb outside Denver, had a decent house worth about $400,000, 2 cars paid off completely. Life seemed solid, stable, and comfortable until about 8 months before everything went sideways. Here's some important context about our backgrounds that explains everything that happened later. I grew up in a genuinely low-income household. Single mom working 3 jobs, food stamps, government assistance, secondhand everything, the whole deal. My mom never let me use our situation as an excuse, though. She pushed me to work harder than everyone else because she knew I'd have to fight for everything I got. I worked my way through community college first, then transferred to state school, maintaining full-time employment at a local bank while earning my finance degree. 60-hour weeks became normal for me. Every single dollar I made came through genuine hard work, sacrifice, and determination. I understood the value of money because I'd never had enough of it. Amanda? Completely different story. She was daddy's princess from Westchester County, New York. Never wanted for anything. Attended exclusive private schools, received a brand new BMW for her 16th birthday, like it was no big deal. Her father owned several successful medical practices. Her mother was president of the country club. When we first met at a professional networking event in Denver 7 years ago, I thought she'd matured beyond that entitled mindset. She seemed down to earth, talked about wanting to make her own way in the world, said she was tired of people assuming things about her because of her background. I was completely wrong about her personal growth. The problem started innocently enough when her friend Brittany joined this exclusive fitness studio called Elevate. $300 monthly membership, limited to only 50 members, extensive waiting list and everything. The place was designed to be intimidating. All black and gold decor, intimidating equipment, personal trainers who looked like fitness models. Amanda absolutely had to have it immediately. Not because she genuinely cared about fitness. She hadn't exercised regularly in her entire adult life, could barely run a mile, but because it was expensive, exclusive, and all the right people belonged there. All the successful women in town work out there, she explained when she first brought it up. It's incredible networking opportunities. Think about the connections I could make. Networking, sure. I should have seen through this immediately, but I was trying to be supportive. Within 2 weeks of joining, she became completely obsessed with her assigned personal trainer, Ryan. Week 1. Ryan is so motivating and inspiring. He really understands my fitness goals and where I want to be physically. Week 2. Ryan says I have natural athletic ability that most people never develop. He's designing a completely custom program specifically for my body type. Week 3. Ryan thinks I should seriously consider competing in fitness competitions. He sees genuine potential in me that I never knew I had. The guy was manipulating her emotions perfectly, using classic sales techniques, and she was completely falling for every word. She started purchasing ridiculously expensive workout outfits, $200 sports bras, $300 leggings, designer sneakers that cost more than my monthly car payment. She began getting professional manicures before every single session, spending an hour on her makeup for the gym, meal prepping these elaborate Instagram-worthy lunches that took 3 hours to prepare and photograph properly. But here's what really started to infuriate me. She began treating me like her personal bank account with legs attached. Babe, can you cover the grocery bill this week? I spent slightly more than expected on supplements Ryan specifically recommended for my fitness goals. Honey, my car payment didn't go through automatically. Can you transfer me some money immediately so I don't get charged fees? I was literally funding her trainer fantasy while she texted this guy constantly about nutrition optimization and muscle activation techniques and proper form analysis. Real subtle stuff there. She'd be on her phone texting him during dinner, during movies, even during conversations with my family. 2 months ago, Amanda started acting completely different in ways that were impossible to ignore. She became significantly more secretive with her phone, always keeping it face down, taking it to the bathroom with her, sleeping with it under her pillow. She started taking dramatically longer to prepare for gym sessions. What used to be a quick change into workout clothes became an hour-long process involving multiple outfit changes, elaborate hairstyling, and enough makeup for a photo shoot. She began coming home late from the gym on a regular basis because Ryan supposedly wanted to discuss her progress and plan her nutritional strategy after their scheduled appointments ended. The biggest red flag was when she started buying new underwear, expensive lacy stuff that she'd never worn for me. When I asked about it, she claimed it was for confidence during workouts and feeling good about herself. Sure, Amanda. Really believable. Last Tuesday evening, she made dinner reservations at Fleming's, our anniversary restaurant where we'd celebrated every major milestone in our relationship. Major red flag right there. She only suggested expensive restaurants when she wanted something significant, usually something that was going to cost me money or cause me stress. We arrived at the restaurant and she was acting nervous, fidgety, kept checking her phone and reapplying her lipstick. She'd clearly rehearsed what she was going to say. "Baby, I've been thinking seriously about our relationship lately," she began, using that fake, vulnerable tone she always employed when requesting money or permission for something expensive. "Oh, really? What about it specifically? I love you tremendously, more than anything, but I feel like we're stuck in this comfortable rut. Like we're so settled and domestic that maybe we're not growing as individuals anymore. We're becoming complacent." I set down my $50 steak and looked at her directly. "What exactly are you getting at here?" I was reading this fascinating article about how some couples do temporary separations to rediscover themselves personally. Not breaking up permanently or anything dramatic like that, just exploring what's available out there. Making sure we're together because we genuinely choose to be, not simply because it's convenient and easy and we're scared of being alone. "Exploring what's out there?" I repeated slowly. She leaned forward eagerly, eyes bright with excitement like she was describing a vacation, like a hall pass situation. Just once each. One weekend to be with someone else. Get it completely out of our system. Experience something different. Then come back stronger than ever. Lots of couples do it, and it saves their marriages. "And you have someone specific in mind already?" She actually blushed. Legitimately blushed like a teenager with a crush. "Well, Ryan and I have developed this incredible connection over the past few months. It's purely physical attraction. It wouldn't mean anything emotional whatsoever. You could pick absolutely anyone you want. What about that woman from your office? Sarah? She's really attractive and obviously interested in you." Sarah. My project manager, who Amanda had despised since the day we met, called her cheap-looking and desperate for male attention because Sarah wore makeup to work and didn't dress like a suburban soccer mom. Amanda had spent years making snide comments about Sarah's appearance, her ambition, her success. I sat back and studied my wife carefully across the table. This woman I'd been financially supporting for years, whose gym membership I was paying for, whose trainer fantasies I was funding, whose credit card bills I was covering. She wanted explicit permission to sleep with her trainer while I continued paying for the privilege of being married to her. The audacity was breathtaking. "You know what?" I said calmly, keeping my voice level. "Sure, let's do it." Her face absolutely lit up like Christmas morning. "Really? Oh my goodness, you're amazing. This is going to be so good for us. When should we do this?" "Next weekend works perfectly for me." "Perfect. This is going to be so incredibly beneficial for our relationship." She spent the remainder of dinner texting, probably Ryan, planning their romantic weekend. I spent it planning my next strategic move and enjoying the irony of the situation. See, what Amanda didn't realize in her self-absorbed excitement was that Sarah had been asking me for weeks to assist with a client presentation in Austin the following weekend. Major technology company, potentially huge contract for our firm worth millions. I'd declined every time because Amanda always created enormous drama when I traveled with female colleagues, accusing me of having affairs and threatening to call my boss. But now I had a hall pass. Official permission to spend a weekend with another woman. Friday morning, I was loading my truck for the Austin trip when Amanda bounced downstairs wearing a brand new workout outfit that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. "Have an amazing weekend, baby. I'm getting my nails done professionally this morning. Then Ryan's taking me to this incredible spa resort in Aspen for a wellness retreat. It's going to be so romantic and rejuvenating." A spa resort in Aspen. That was completely news to me. "Sounds incredibly expensive," I commented while checking my luggage. "It's an investment in our relationship's future. Totally worth every penny." "Where are you going for your hall pass weekend?" "Austin." Sarah's client presentation. Her smile immediately faltered, and I watched the reality of the situation hit her. "Sarah? But I thought you just, I don't know, use dating apps or something casual?" Why would I use dating apps when I can spend the weekend with someone I actually know personally? Someone successful, intelligent, and attractive? But she's not even that attractive. And she's kind of desperate, don't you think? I think she's absolutely gorgeous. Brilliant, too. Did you know she has an MBA from Wharton? She's probably the smartest person at our company. Amanda's face was turning red, and I could see the panic starting to set in. A whole weekend seems excessive. I was thinking more like one night maximum. Oh, we're establishing limits now? That's interesting. Should have mentioned that before you booked a spa resort in Aspen with your trainer. How much is that costing, by the way? It's not about money. Everything's about money with you, Amanda. This entire situation is about money. Your gym membership, your trainer, your new clothes, your spa weekend, your car payments, your credit cards. Who do you think pays for all that? She looked genuinely stunned, like it never occurred to her that I'd been keeping track of her spending or that I might have feelings about funding her affair. Have fun with Ryan, I said, getting in my truck. Try not to max out the credit cards while you're living your fantasy. I drove away while she stood in the driveway wearing her $200 athletic wear, mouth hanging open in shock as the reality of her situation finally dawned on her. The phone call started before I even reached the highway. My phone was buzzing constantly, lighting up the dashboard like a Christmas tree. By the time I arrived at Denver International Airport, I had 23 missed calls and 45 increasingly frantic text messages. We need to set clear boundaries. A weekend is way too much. I changed my mind completely. This isn't what I meant. Sarah is a predator. She's always wanted you. If you do this, we're finished. I'm calling my lawyer. This is emotional abuse. You're manipulating me. I turned off my phone and boarded the plane to Austin, enjoying the peace and quiet for the first time in months. Sarah met me at baggage claim looking professional as always. Perfectly fitted blazer, crisp dress pants, hair pulled back in a sophisticated bun. Ready to land this account? She asked with a confident smile. Absolutely. Let's make some money. Here's the important thing that I need to emphasize. Sarah is a complete professional in every sense of the word. We worked diligently on our presentation. We presented effectively to the client. We closed a $2.3 million deal that would generate significant revenue for our company. We celebrated with the entire team at a nice steakhouse, discussed strategy and future opportunities, then returned to our separate hotel rooms like the mature adults we both are. Nothing inappropriate happened because we're both professionals who understand boundaries and workplace ethics. But I made sure to post several strategic photos on my social media accounts. Skyline shot from the plane, Austin-bound big presentation today, 2 coffee cups at dinner, celebrating success with the team, hotel pool at sunrise, early morning swim before the big presentation, airport departure lounge, another successful business trip. When I finally turned my phone back on Saturday evening after our celebration dinner, it was complete chaos. 67 missed calls, 156 text messages, 34 voicemails. My phone was so hot from the constant notifications that I could barely hold it. The highlights from Amanda's meltdown. How could you do this to me? I'm driving to Austin right now. Sarah is ruining our marriage. I never went to Aspen. Ryan canceled on me. This is all your fault. You planned this. I'm calling my dad. I'm calling your boss. You're having an affair. Wait, what? Ryan canceled? According to her increasingly frantic messages, Ryan had gotten weird and uncomfortable when she tried explaining the hall pass situation to him. Turns out he thought their flirting was just good customer service, designed to keep clients happy and paying their monthly fees. When she showed up at his apartment Friday night expecting their romantic weekend getaway, he was genuinely confused and uncomfortable with the situation. I don't date clients, he'd told her firmly. It's unprofessional and against company policy. Besides, I'm engaged to my college girlfriend. Engaged. The guy was engaged and had been the entire time. Amanda had spent Friday night alone in a cheap hotel room she'd booked in Denver. Not Aspen. Couldn't afford Aspen without access to my credit cards. Realizing her trainer fantasy was exactly that. A complete fantasy based on her own delusions. Meanwhile, I was closing million-dollar deals in Austin and advancing my career. The messages kept coming throughout the night. He was just being nice to keep his job. I'm so embarrassed. I made a terrible mistake. Please come home. We need to talk. I love you. This was all a mistake. I sent one simple response. Enjoying Austin. See you Sunday night. I arrived home Sunday evening around 8 p.m. to find Amanda in the living room, and the scene was honestly pathetic. She was pacing back and forth wearing the same wrinkled clothes from Friday, that expensive workout outfit that now looked cheap and desperate. Her hair was greasy and unwashed, her makeup was smeared from crying, and there were empty tissue boxes scattered around the room. The house was a complete disaster. Dishes piled up in the sink, takeout containers covering the coffee table, mail scattered everywhere. It looked like a tornado had hit, which I guess was accurate since Amanda's emotional tornado had definitely hit our marriage. "We need to talk immediately," she said the moment I walked through the door. Not even a hello or acknowledgement that I'd been gone for 3 days. "Okay, I'm listening." I messed up completely. The whole hall pass thing was incredibly stupid, and I regret every second of it. Ryan wasn't... I totally misread the entire situation. He's engaged to someone else, and now he thinks I'm some desperate housewife throwing herself at him like a pathetic groupie. "Are you?" I asked calmly, setting down my luggage. She flinched like I'd physically slapped her across the face. "That's really mean and unfair." "Is it mean or is it accurate? You wanted explicit permission to cheat on your husband with a guy you've been throwing yourself at for months. A guy whose personal training services I've been paying for with my money. What would you call that behavior if you saw another woman doing it?" Her face crumpled and she started crying again. "It wasn't supposed to be like this. You were supposed to just, I don't know, maybe flirt with someone at a bar for one night or something casual and meaningless. Not spend an entire weekend with Sarah doing business meetings and who knows what else." "Why not Sarah?" "Because she actually wants you. This is completely different than what I had planned." "How exactly is it different?" "Because Ryan doesn't actually want me," she screamed, finally admitting the truth out loud. There it was. The brutal honesty I'd been waiting 3 days to hear. She wanted to sleep with her trainer but keep me as the financial and emotional safety net. Keep me paying her bills, funding her lifestyle, supporting her dreams and fantasies, while she played out her sexual fantasy with a man who saw her as nothing more than a monthly membership payment. When her plan didn't work out according to her delusional expectations, she expected me to come running back home, grateful and relieved that she'd decided to settle for boring, reliable, financially stable me. "You're absolutely right about that," I said calmly, not raising my voice. "Ryan doesn't want you. He never wanted you romantically. But Sarah might actually want me. And you know what? That feels pretty amazing after years of being taken for granted and treated like a walking ATM. Did you sleep with her?" The question came out as a whisper. "That's none of your business." "It absolutely is my business. I'm your wife. My wife who asked for a hall pass, remember? My wife who wanted to spend the weekend having sex with her trainer in Aspen? You don't get to establish rules and boundaries now that your plan has completely backfired on you." She started crying harder. That ugly crying where your face gets all red and blotchy and your nose runs uncontrollably. "I'm sorry. I'm so incredibly sorry. It was a terrible mistake. I was bored and stupid and entitled, and I thought, I honestly don't know what I thought was going to happen. Can we just pretend this never happened and go back to the way things were?" Number. "Jorge, what do you mean no?" "I mean no, we absolutely cannot forget this happened. You showed me exactly who you really are, Amanda. Someone who'd risk our marriage for a sexual fantasy? Someone who sees me as a bank account with benefits attached instead of a human being worthy of respect? Someone who thinks so little of our relationship and our marriage, vows that she'd casually ask permission to cheat like she was asking to borrow the car. She kept crying, begging, promising to quit the gym immediately, to cut up all her credit cards, to never mention Ryan's name again, to be a better wife, to appreciate me more. The promises kept flowing like water, but I was completely done listening to her desperate bargaining. I want a divorce. You can't be serious about that. I've never been more serious about anything in my entire life. This marriage is over. The divorce process was extremely ugly, drawn out, and expensive for both of us. Amanda fought everything tooth and nail, refusing to accept responsibility for what had happened. She hired some aggressive lawyer that her father recommended and paid for. Probably cost him $50,000 in legal fees before it was over. Her strategy was to claim that I'd manipulated her, that I'd emotionally abused her by allowing her to embarrass herself with Ryan, and that I'd deliberately set her up to fail so I could have an excuse to leave the marriage. It was complete nonsense, but her lawyer pushed the narrative hard. They tried to paint me as a controlling husband who had isolated Amanda from her friends, monitored her spending, and then manipulated her into asking for a hall pass so I could justify having an affair with my coworker. The irony was incredible. I was being accused of financial abuse by a woman whose lifestyle I'd been completely funding for years. Fortunately, my evidence was rock solid. I had screenshots of text messages where she explicitly requested hall passes, detailed records of her gym expenses on our joint credit cards, her increasingly desperate and abusive messages from that weekend in Austin, and comprehensive documentation of all her spending that I'd been covering without complaint. My lawyer organized everything into a timeline that clearly showed Amanda's escalating obsession with her trainer and her calculated request for permission to cheat. The real game changer came during the discovery phase, when we had to disclose all financial information completely and transparently. That's when Amanda learned some critically important things about our finances that I'd never bothered to mention during our marriage, mostly because she'd never shown any interest in our actual financial situation beyond having access to spend money. Like the fact that I'd been putting money aside for years in separate investment accounts she didn't know existed. I'd been automatically transferring money from each paycheck into retirement accounts, emergency funds, and long-term investments. While she was spending money on gym memberships and designer clothes, I was building wealth, like the fact that our house was only in my name because I'd bought it 2 years before we got married, and she'd never contributed a single dollar to the mortgage payments, property taxes, or home improvements. She'd been living in my house rent-free for 5 years while contributing nothing to the equity. Like the fact that most of our assets were legally mine because I'd acquired them before our marriage or through my separate income. The cars, the furniture, the electronics, the investment accounts. Almost everything of value belonged to me individually. What do you mean I'm not entitled to half of everything? She screamed at her lawyer during one heated meeting I wasn't supposed to overhear, but could clearly hear through the thin office walls. Colorado follows equitable distribution principles, but most of these assets were acquired before marriage or through his separate income. Her lawyer explained with obvious patience wearing thin. The gym membership, the car payments he made for you, the credit card debt you accumulated, that's not marital property. That's spousal support he was voluntarily providing during the marriage. Amanda's face went completely white as the financial reality finally hit her. She was about to learn what life looked like without someone bankrolling her entitled lifestyle, and the lesson was going to be harsh and immediate. The gym membership was the first casualty. Can't afford $300 monthly when you're facing mounting legal bills and looking at your actual take-home salary without someone else subsidizing your lifestyle. Amanda called the gym crying, begging them to freeze her membership or offer a payment plan. They refused. Elevate was exclusive precisely because they didn't need to accommodate people who couldn't afford their services. Ryan apparently felt uncomfortable about the whole situation and requested that she be assigned to a different trainer. The gym management, not wanting drama, simply suggested she might be happier at a different facility. Translation: get lost. Then the lease on her BMW had to be terminated early with significant penalties. She tried to negotiate with the dealership, claiming financial hardship, but luxury car dealers don't typically show sympathy for people who can no longer afford luxury items. She ended up with a 10-year-old Honda Civic that her father grudgingly co-signed for. Next went all the designer clothes. Amanda spent weeks posting designer workout outfits on various resale apps, trying to recoup some money. Those $300 leggings? She was lucky to get $50 for them. The $200 sports bras sold for $20 each. It was a harsh lesson in depreciation. The expensive dinners and spa treatments disappeared overnight. No more weekly manicures, no more monthly facials, no more $100 dinners just because she felt like it. She was experiencing actual budgeting for the first time in her adult life. Meanwhile, my life was improving dramatically in ways I hadn't expected. The Austin deal. Sarah and I closed generated massive revenue for our company, and our boss was thrilled. Within 2 months, I received a promotion to senior advisor with a $40,000 salary increase and significantly better benefits. The company also started sending me to high-profile client meetings across the country. I bought myself a new truck, a fully loaded Ford F-150 that I'd been wanting for years, but never purchased because Amanda always found ways to spend our extra money. It felt incredible to make a major purchase decision without having to consider someone else's expensive habits. More importantly, I started dating Kelly, a trauma nurse I met at a coffee shop near the hospital. She was intelligent, independent, financially responsible, and completely baffled by the hall pass story when I eventually told her, "If I wanted to be with someone else, I'd break up with you first," she said matter-of-factly. That's how normal, mature people handle attraction to other people. You don't ask for permission to cheat and then get upset when your partner actually uses that permission. Revolutionary concept, right? A woman who understood basic respect and communication. 6 months after our divorce was finally finalized and all the paperwork was signed, I received a call from an unknown number while I was finishing up some client paperwork at the office. I almost didn't answer it, but something made me pick up. It was Amanda, and she sounded completely broken and defeated. "Mike, it's me. What do you want, Amanda?" I kept my voice neutral and professional. I I need help desperately. I'm in really bad trouble. She sounded genuinely broken, defeated, like someone who'd finally run out of options and was facing reality for the first time. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. My dad finally cut me off financially, she continued, her voice shaking. He said I'm 30 years old and need to figure out my own life without family money constantly bailing me out. He's tired of my poor decisions and he wants me to learn independence. I can't afford my apartment anymore. The rent is due tomorrow and I don't have it. So get a roommate, move somewhere cheaper, or get a second job, I suggested matter-of-factly. I tried everything, but medical device sales isn't exactly booming right now, especially for someone with my recent performance numbers. My sales have been absolutely terrible since everything happened with us. I can't focus on work. I keep thinking about how stupid I was, and how I destroyed the best thing in my life for a fantasy that wasn't even real. There was a long, awkward pause where I could hear her crying softly on the other end of the line. I've been sleeping on Brittany's couch for 3 weeks now, but she's kicking me out tomorrow because her boyfriend is moving in and they need the space. I literally don't know what to do or where to go. I have nowhere else to turn. Have you considered moving back home with your parents? They said no. My dad is serious about the tough love approach this time. He said if I can't afford to live independently, then I need to make different choices. But he's not going to keep enabling my poor decision-making by rescuing me every time I mess up. I had to admit, her father was finally showing some backbone. Better late than never. I know I messed up beyond belief, she continued, desperation creeping into her voice. I know I was entitled and selfish, and I took you completely for granted for years. You were the best thing in my life, and I threw it all away for a stupid fantasy that existed only in my own head. I'm sorry. I'm so incredibly, desperately sorry for everything. Okay, I appreciate the apology. I was wondering, could you maybe help me out financially? Just temporarily until I get back on my feet? I know it's a huge thing to ask considering everything that happened, but I literally have nowhere else to turn. No one else will help me. I sat there in my new truck in the parking lot of the restaurant where Kelly and I had just finished a wonderful dinner, celebrating her promotion to head nurse. I was listening to my ex-wife beg me for money, the same woman who'd asked for permission to cheat on me with her trainer, who'd tried to take half my assets in our divorce, who'd called me manipulative and emotionally abusive when her plan backfired spectacularly. The irony was almost too perfect to be real. You know what, Amanda? I actually have a great idea for you. Really? Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I knew you'd understand. Why don't you ask Ryan for help? I'm sure he'd be happy to support you financially. You two had such amazing chemistry and that incredible connection you kept talking about. The silence stretched on forever. I could practically hear her heart breaking through the phone. That's not funny, Mike. You know that's not fair. I'm not trying to be funny at all. I'm being completely practical and logical. You chose him over me, remember? You asked for a hall pass specifically to be with him instead of me. So go be with him now that you need help. He's married now. His wedding was last month and all the gym members were invited to the reception except me. They probably thought I was too pathetic and desperate. Then ask your friend Brittany, or convince your father to change his mind, or get a roommate, or move somewhere you can actually afford on your salary. You're a grown woman, Amanda. Figure it out like the rest of us have to do. Please, I'm literally begging you here. I have $200 in my checking account and nowhere to live after tomorrow. I'll end up homeless. You should have thought about potential consequences before you decided I wasn't enough for you. I never said you weren't enough. You didn't have to say it out loud. You asked for permission to sleep with another man because you were bored with our marriage. That communicated everything I needed to know about how you really felt about me and our relationship. She started crying again. That same ugly crying from our final confrontation months earlier. I was stupid and selfish and entitled, and I learned my lesson the hard way. Isn't that enough punishment? Don't you have any compassion or forgiveness left? I have plenty of compassion for people who deserve it. You made your choice, Amanda. Now you get to live with the consequences of that choice. I hung up the phone and immediately deleted her number from my contacts. Kelly was waiting patiently in the passenger seat, having heard the entire conversation. That was pretty harsh, she said thoughtfully. Was it too harsh? Yeah, probably. But I like that in a man. She made her bed. Now she has to sleep in it. We drove home to the house I'd bought with my own money, where Kelly was slowly moving in her belongings. A woman who paid her own bills, who'd never asked me for a single penny, who thought the idea of hall passes was completely insane and disrespectful. Last I heard through mutual friends, she moved back in with her parents in Westchester. Her father makes her pay rent and do household chores like she's 16 again. She works at a discount gym chain now, not as a trainer, but at the front desk, checking in members and selling protein shakes for minimum wage plus commission. The really ironic part? Ryan and his wife are members at that gym. They work out there 3 times a week, and Amanda has to smile and scan their membership cards every single time they walk in. Small world, isn't it?